think I'm introing this one because I think you introed the
Okay.
last one because I was Spider-Man.
Oh, that's right. All right,
Yeah.
bet.
All right. Sorry.
Started like that. Run it.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Football Busters. Today is Wednesday, September 21st. I'm Will, and this is my co-host Eric. How you feeling
What's
today?
going on, everybody? I'm feeling good, man. I'm glad to be here with you for another week. Week two was insane. So we got a good amount to talk about, and yeah, I'm excited to get to it.
Yeah, man, this NFL season's been really weird. So, yeah, we're already dealing with some weird stuff week 3. So, just to start it off, Justin Herbert, we all saw him kind of go down Thursday night. A little bit scary. Come to find out, he's got a rib fracture, rib cartilage fracture. I,
Which who knew that was a thing?
yeah,
You can fracture cartilage.
yeah,
I
that doesn't really make
wasn't hip,
sense to me.
but yeah, I apparently it's a thing. It's it seems like it's going to be like a pain tolerance thing. I don't know. I've been hearing like conflicting reports about whether this could hold him out or whether it's going to be, give him an injection and he'll be able to play.
Yeah,
Hopefully, he doesn't get the same doctor that did Tyrod Taylor dirty. We'll
yeah,
see.
I saw like as soon as this happened, the jokes started flying, and then
Yeah.
I think what was it the next day, maybe 2 days later, Tyrod Taylor announced that he was suing the Chargers team doctor, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for what went down.
Damn. I mean, it makes sense,
But it's almost like that happened, and it just like it reminded him, oh yeah, I should sue them for that.
yeah.
But as somebody who's had broken and cracked ribs before, it is not a good time whatsoever. And I can't imagine being out there on a football field with cracked up ribs. So Justin Herbert, it's nothing to take lightly, this whole rib situation, because it is something that could hold him out potentially. But Justin Herbert seems like he wants to be out there on the field. He came back out that same game and came back out and played. So it could hold him up, also couldn't. It's just something to keep an eye on. But with the next person that we're going to be talking about here who has sort of the same injury, Alvin Kamara, it's definitely going to be more of an issue because running backs do take more of those hits, consistent hits throughout the game. And having cracked up ribs is not the best thing in the world for a running back. So,
Yeah, where are you at with Alvin Kamara right now? He had a really disappointing week one. I think half PPR scoring. He scored like 6.5 points and then got held out of week two.
I think this is going to be a season where, like, talent may win out and Alvin Kamara may have, a few good games, but it's not looking like this is going to be a good season for him. It's not really looking like this team is tailored to, for him to succeed. It seems like they're sort of moving down a different route than the Alvin Kamara, Drew Brees route. And it's kind of sad to see, honestly. This injury is not going to help. Obviously, him getting in trouble over the offseason probably isn't going to help. That may have affected the reason why how they're using him in this offense. Even they may have planned accordingly with thinking they weren't going to have him early on in the season. Possibly that's just strictly conjecture at that point.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I think just like you said, Jameis, the Drew Brees to Jameis is such a huge difference in play style. We've talked about it a couple times. Alvin Kamara went from being a perennial 80 catch guy to now it's looking like, I don't know, he might be in like the 40 range, half that.
Yeah,
He's not being used in the passing game very much. The rushing volume, also small sample size. He played week one and that was it so far. So there's a lot left to be seen, but I'm definitely a little bit nervous for Kamara.
yeah, and I know you mentioned his rushing volume, but like his rushing volume has never really been great. He's always really, really exceeded in the receiving game, and that's what's really elevated him to that status that he has in fantasy. It's never really been off of rushing, even though he
Yeah,
is he
well,
is a good running back. I'm
yeah,
not gonna sit here and say he's not.
just like last year, right? Because Drew Brees was gone 2 years ago. They
Yeah,
switched to Jameis and Taysom Hill, and he went from being a really efficient but not having a high volume to getting like over 20 carries a game or something like that. Like he had a lot of carries per game last year, and he was effective in that. So if they take away the rushing volume and he's not getting passed to, just sketchy.
yeah,
But
it's not a great situation for Mr. Kamara.
yeah, But we can move on to the next piece of news. We can stay in New Orleans. Jameis Winston is also dealing with fractures, but they're fractures in his back. We found out about this pretty soon before kickoff in week 2, that he was playing through a lot of pain, but that it wasn't supposed to have any lasting effect. It wasn't putting him in too much harm's way, I guess, with him playing. Um, he didn't seem hampered, although his performance wasn't great. But I don't know that had anything to do with the ribs.
Yeah, I think well, his back, not his ribs. But
Sorry, his back. Yes.
all good. I think it's just, when you carry the team for as long as Jameis has, this was bound to happen, I think. But it's just, yeah, I don't know if these fractures actually affected his play because he threw 3 interceptions this past game. I think that just has to do a lot with him trying to play hero ball a lot at the end of the game, and it's sort of what you get with that sort of give and take.
Trying to force it against a good Tampa Bay defense.
Yeah, so it's just that's what you get with that sort of situation. But it's a little bit concerning to me. It's never really been a good thing to see quarterbacks with back fractures, especially in the past. Like, we've seen more serious injuries than this, resulting from like car accidents and stuff like that. But this still isn't great. It hurts Jameis. It was fun having Jameis as a top 10 QB for a week. It was tight.
That's your boy. Yeah, you loved it.
Yeah, man, it was amazing. But I don't know if we're gonna get that again. I don't know. This is gonna affect a lot more than, I guess. I don't know if people are expecting it to affect a lot. To be honest with you.
I think we'll see. Because, like I said, I don't think it affected his performance that much. He didn't look physically hampered in this game, in my opinion. So I think that one's just going to be a wait it out, see what happens.
Yeah, I know they said he was dealing with a lot of pain, but this is Jameis we're talking about too. He could come out there and say, "Yeah, I'm in a lot of pain, yeah, but we got to fight through that." So it's just, I don't know if he's saying that just for the bits or what, but at the same time,
that was basically his post game interview you just did right there.
Yeah,
that looks just about right.
It's just Jameis
right,
being Jameis.
Let's keep this pushing. We got Gabe Davis. He didn't play in week 2 due to an ankle sprain that he suffered late in the week, I think on Saturday, before the Monday game. They're saying that it's not supposed to be too serious, and they're hopeful that he can play week 3. We'll get to it later on, but, Stephon Diggs absolutely balled this week and didn't leave too much opportunity for any of the other players in the Buffalo receiving corps. So if that continues to happen, it's not going to matter anyway. But obviously, Gabe Davis was a big piece of this offense week 1.
Yeah, he's a big part of this offense, but it also doesn't look like it matters if he's there or not either, which is kind of like what we had talked about early on with him being this wide receiver too on this offense. It's just he has the volume, he's got the opportunity, but like you don't really got to be super talented to thrive in this offense, or at least be an option in this offense if you got the volume. But Stephon Diggs shows what it's like to be an elite talent in this offense, and he just dominated. And speaking of ankle injuries, we got a more serious one. Everybody's off-season darling going into this season, Mr. Trey Lance fractured his fibula, had to get surgery, and his season is officially done. He's not going to be playing anymore.
This one was sad, man. This one hurt.
Yeah, it did. I didn't even get to watch this game, but I saw the alert come through because at first it just said it was a big hit and he's down. It's an ankle injury. I was like, can't be that bad. And then they said, oh, no, his season's over. It's a fracture. He's done. And it sucks to see.
Yeah, this gave me Dak vibes. It had a very similar feeling to it. I think Dak might have fractured both his tibia and his fibula. I can't remember exactly how his injury went down, but serious fracture here, season ending, obviously. We had high hopes for Trey Lance, at least from a fantasy perspective, coming into the season. I don't mean to kick him while he's down. Obviously, we don't want these injuries to happen to anybody, but I do think this is probably a positive for the fantasy options in San Francisco with Jimmy G stepping in. I think it's probably a boost for just about everybody.
Yeah, I was reading some stuff too, just because you had made the Dak comparison. They're saying it's not as serious as that because Dak had like a compound fracture and a lot of stuff was going on with his. Trey Lance, it was one clean break and it was a dislocated ankle, but you still got to get surgery on it, just put everything back together because there's so many little pieces in there.
Right.
But it sucks, and he's gonna end up coming back next year, but this is gonna hurt Trey Lance's, I think, going forward, just because he is a mobile QB. One of the reasons he is as touted as he is because of his rushing, and like with Dak, he was mobile at that time too, but also he was way more of a pocket passer, and Trey Lance doesn't really have that experience yet. So I
Yeah.
don't know how this is going to do for his development going forward. I don't know what the 49ers plan is going forward. But, Jimmy G is back, and I guess this team may get back on track. They finished out the game with a win, and, they may be in a better place, at least going forward this season, but I don't know how it
Yeah.
is going forward for them as a franchise.
Yeah. No, I think from a season-long perspective in fantasy and for the NFL, this is a positive. Like I said, for the other fantasy options, this is probably a positive for San Francisco's chances to really make a Super Bowl run. But if we're talking dynasty, I'm not ready to make any quick decisions yet. I want to see where the market settles on his value to determine whether he's somebody that's worth a buy low or what the case is. But definitely going to be interesting to see. We can stay in San Francisco for these other pieces of news. Tyrion Davis-Price suffered a high ankle sprain and is likely out for 4 to 6 weeks. This also led the 49ers to elevate Marlon Mack from the practice squad. It seemed like Jeff Wilson was pretty clearly the primary back there. And especially now that Trey Lance isn't in the fold, he's not going to be vulturing rushing work. So he's probably got a pretty decent role ahead of him. I think Jordan Mason is worth rostering now, especially with TDP down. They're going to ride the hot hand, and they liked him a lot. He played well in the preseason. What are your thoughts there?
No, I completely agree. With Trey Lance out, just about every rushing asset for the 49ers, their value has gone up just because there should be more touches going around all of them because Jimmy G is not going to take them. And Marlon Mack is just proving to have 9 lives. He keeps coming back. I don't know if he's going to play. It's going to be, like you said, it's the 49ers. They ride the hot hand. Whoever's the best running back up to bat. Even Kyle Shanahan had spoken about this in the preseason, saying, "Yeah, we're going to get as many running backs as we need because we needed a lot last year, and it's proven to be the same this year." So, yeah, just stock goes up on all 49ers rushing assets. Marlon Mack, I don't think he should be rostered right now, but it depends on how this team decides to use all these pieces. But Jeff Wilson going forward, at least until Elijah Mitchell comes back, looking like a good prospect. And yeah, like you said, Jordan Mason is a name I have heard popping up a lot lately. So
Yeah. And then Dalton Schultz, going back to Dallas, or I guess not back to Dallas. We mentioned Dak, but Dalton Schultz has a PCL injury. They're saying it's similar kind of to what Zeke dealt with for much of last year. I haven't heard whether they've decided to hold him out yet, what the timeline is for return from this injury, or if this is going to be like a playthrough type deal. I'm not sure if that information is out there yet, but definitely something to keep your eye on if you're a Dalton Schultz owner, with the tight end landscape being as sparse as it is.
yeah, I believe the team came out and said he was day to day. So right, they said something like that. They're just gonna monitor it, keep an eye on it. They may not rush him back because Michael Gallup may be coming back soon. It's a blow to a team who's already losing weapons. It's just, yeah, it was scary to see, honestly, and it was weird for me to say as a Washington fan, but to see Dalton Schultz go down the way he did, I was like, oh, I was concerned that he was going to be out, and it is nice to see that it's at least an injury that can be managed throughout the season, could potentially get better throughout the season, so it's good for Dalton Schultz. And then,
Yeah, it didn't seem. Oh, go ahead.
oh, no, it's just, yeah, just glad to see it's not as major as I initially thought.
Yeah. Yeah, glad that it's not super severe. Jerry Jeudy is also day to day after dealing with a sternum injury in the last game. They did pull him out of that game, and I don't believe that he returned. But this one also seems to not be super serious. He'll probably be back for week 3, I think is what the team is saying.
Yeah, they're just gonna probably be doing some maintenance throughout the week. And it's funny because I'm gonna be doing this a lot. I feel like when we're doing this podcast, because I'm not gonna say I'm injury prone, but I kind of am. But as someone who's had a cracked sternum before, that is not a joke. It's not fun. But he's also, as a wide receiver, it's not a huge impact position, most of the time. So, give him a little bit of rest. He may be one of those people that also needs that cortisone shot because sternum is really something serious. But the team seems to be handling it well. He seems to be handling it well as well. And the Broncos need him. So they're going to be getting them back out there as soon as they can.
Yeah, Broncos need something, man. That's another thing we can talk about as we go, but they're looking rough. James Conner also suffered an ankle injury in week 2. Team has also come out and said this doesn't seem to be serious, but this one's a little bit concerning to me, just with Connor's injury history and just the nature of the position. I'm worried because he's already inefficient. This offense already isn't good. The offensive line isn't good. So if he's dealing with anything, if he's less than 100%, it makes me nervous. I guess not to start him because you kind of have to with the way running backs are this year, but I just don't feel good about his production going forward.
No, I completely agree with that. Ankle injury is going to slow him down. Like you said, he's already not super efficient. And it's just, this offense hasn't been firing the way it should be at all. But maybe that's a tribute to, the pieces that they are missing. But at the same time, I feel like this team is underperforming. James Conner, not going to say he's underperforming. He's kind of doing exactly what we thought he was going to do. But he's doing it inside of an offense that's not that great. So to rush him back with this ankle injury wouldn't be in the team's best interest, but who knows what they're going to end up doing. But like you said, with his injury history, this isn't great going for it throughout the season. He's somebody that, like, usually when he gets hurt, he's going to keep getting hurt throughout the season. So it sucks to see. Hopefully they don't rush him back and allow him the time, give Eno Benjamin and Darrell Williams the opportunity to step up and play, because they would be fine. They did fine when he wasn't playing last week. So
yeah, it's another thing worth mentioning. It seemed like Eno Benjamin was the clear handcuff, but once James Conner went down, it was a pretty even split, really, between Eno and Darrell Williams. So something to keep in mind if they do hold James Conner out. Michael Pittman, who sat out week 2 with a quad injury that also happened, I think, like late in the week in practice, they're saying might be ready for week 3. This is a little concerning, especially because it didn't happen in a game. It was kind of like a late pop-up, and now to hear that he might miss 2 weeks, it's kind of scary. How you feeling?
Well, I think what they said, this is a report. I could be misspeaking, so if someone in the comments realizes that I'm misspeaking, correct it. But I believe I saw that he actually did get hurt during the game, and they realized that he was hurt early Wednesday at practice, like the first day of practice for the week. And he was saying that he didn't realize he was hurt until he got to the practice facility, and they were checking him out.
Got it.
So
yeah, I did not hear that, but that makes more sense.
Yeah, it is a little bit concerning, but at the same time, the team says he's progressing well. They held him out last week, just for precaution to make sure he is good going in the next week. I think he will play week 3. I'm not sure if this is something to be super duper concerned about, considering it did possibly happen during the game and he still kept performing the way he did. It's just a matter of if he did any damage while playing in that game and whatnot. But I believe that's what happened. I think that's what happened.
No, that would make a lot more sense. And if that's the case, if he suffered it during the game and continued to play, that is probably a pretty encouraging sign for his potential outlook for week 3. Also, they fucking need him, man. They looked so bad against the Jags. Holy crap. They got blanked.
Shout out to Frank Wright. Matt Ryan is the answer. Carson Wentz was not it. You guys are a much better team now.
Oh my goodness, man. I don't know why I just followed mainstream media and was like, yeah, Carson Wentz is an upgrade. You know, because the same way that you love Jameis, I hate Matt Ryan. I always have. This guy, I don't know how he won an MVP. I don't know how he made it to a Super Bowl. I do know how he made it to a Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan is how he made it to a Super Bowl. Yeah. Julio Jones is how he made it to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But, damn, bro. He looked like trash.
Dude.
Like trash.
He's ass. And it's like you said, I said, I've been saying it for years. Matt Ryan's not good. He just played on a team with Julio Jones for years. And then he had a couple seasons with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, and they're like, "Oh man, this guy's really good." And it's like, no, he has two amazing receivers. To start his
Can't believe I
career out,
just
he was decent. He was good.
yeah.
Matty Ice. But going into these later years, bro, he has not been it whatsoever. And the fact the Colts were saying that he was the answer and that he's the reason why they're going to the Super Bowl, obviously not. You're wrong.
Rough look. Rough look. All right, let's finish out this news and injuries with the last one. Mike Evans started a big old fight with Marshawn Lattimore, like he always seems to do.
As per usual.
Yeah, but in this case, he was suspended for one game. Yesterday, it was. I heard that he appealed the suspension, and that appeal was heard. They're saying that we should get the news today on whether the appeal is, he's actually going to be suspended or not, basically.
Do you think for his appeal he said, "That's Tom Brady. What else do you want me to do?"
He just put that clip on loop.
And then
bruh.
I also love the fact that like Bruce Arians is not supposed to really be on the field. He's not a coach anymore. But like
Did you hear why he was on the field though?
Why was he on the field?
They said, I don't know if this is true, but they came out and said that the Saints didn't offer up booth space for like their team execs, so they had to be on the sideline.
Dang. And then that's even crazier because now this fight broke out, and they're trying to say that
because of Bruce.
And they're saying that Bruce Arians was the one that told Mike Evans to go in there and do it.
He's like, "Yo, Mike, you gonna let them do that to Tom?" He's like, "Oh fuck no!" He goes out there and wrecks Marshawn.
Yeah, he said, "You really gonna let Marshawn get away with that?" It's so crazy, bro. But I fucking love this Buccaneers team this year, man.
Yeah.
Especially Tom Brady's weekly marriage counseling every Wednesday.
Man, Tom Brady and Bruce Arians owe Mike Evans an apology. He did not need to be suspended. They did this to him. Good on him for protecting his guys, but damn, that sucks.
And it's what Mike Evans, he's done it his whole career. I know everybody's seen the clips of him doing the same shit to Marshawn Lattimore when he was ribbing at Jameis. So it's just Mike Evans doing what Mike Evans does. So let's go ahead and we're going to get into this week 2 sort of recap, just some topics we wanted to go over and just talk about. And it's just sort of, this was a really bad week for top running backs.
Before we get super deep into it, I just want to mention for everybody watching, we are doing our game recaps through YouTube Shorts now. We're going to be putting a bunch of those out probably today, tomorrow, whatever. For literally every single game on the slate, we'll have a recap. So go watch those if you want an in-depth recap. We're just going to be covering like the big picture, big item things today. Yeah, sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no, you're all good, bro. That's awesome. And then make sure you guys check out our other videos too. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, be a part of the community. Let's have some fun. But yeah, like I was saying, it was sort of a down week for the top running backs in the league. Yeah. It's Dalvin Cook not shaping up very well at all. Derrick Henry not shaping up very well. Najee, obviously, we kind of talked about Najee in the preseason. Austin Eckler not getting the usage we thought he was going to get. There's some exceptions, like there's some weird spots. Like you got Christian McCaffrey, who like isn't as super hyper involved in the offense like he was before. So like he's still doing decently. He's still making something happen, but nothing great. You got Saquon, who exploded week 1, and then week 2, sort of a lighter week. They didn't look his way as much. I think his target share went from like 33% to like 12%. So it's just I don't know how to really make heads or tails out of the top running backs, but it's looking like if you drafted a running back in the first round, you're looking a little silly at this point.
Yeah, especially with the way that the wide receivers are playing, which we'll get to as well. But yeah, so almost all of the top running backs across the board have been fairly disappointing. You mentioned a bunch of the names: JT, CMC, Barkley, Mixon. I think those guys we're not worried about. I'm not going to panic on any of them unless you feel differently. But I'm holding strong with those guys. I feel good about their outlook going forward. They just haven't met our expectations yet. But then the next 4 guys, Eckler, Najee, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, this is where I kind of want to get your thoughts and opinions, is whether, like, should we try to bail on these guys and sell if somebody's willing to buy high? Are we like in Najee's case, are we sitting him? Are we benching him with the performance that he's had so far? Like, what are we looking at with these dudes?
I've had Dalvin Cook on one of my other teams. I mentioned it before on this podcast. This is a team that I have Swift, Saquon, and Cook. And Cook has been the one that's been in my flex, who is in the most precarious position out of the three of them.
Yeah,
But that's not to say that I'm bailing on him. Now, if someone offers you a king's ransom for one of these guys, I would consider it. You got to think about it. But at this, I don't know what even a trade. I don't know what trade offer anyone would make for any of these guys based on how they're
right,
playing right now. You know,
right. Yeah,
it's
I Eckler's scary to me. His usage has been really iffy. He hasn't eclipsed 40 rushing yards yet. I don't think he's gotten over like 11 rushing attempts. Now he's involved in the passing game, but most of the passing game work that he got last week came not in garbage time. The game was still fairly close, but it was like at the end of the game, all kind of in the last drive or two. So that was scary to see that his usage wasn't spread out throughout the whole game. Najee is potentially still dealing with injury. His quarterback situation is terrible. His offensive line is bad. I don't know that people out there are going to have much better options to start ahead of him. But if you do, like if he's somebody that you have two other running backs that you can put in those slots and put him in the flex, I might put in a wide receiver over him. He's been bad. Derrick Henry hasn't gotten over 10 half PPR fantasy points so far this season.
Derrick Henry has been super inefficient. Super
Yeah.
inefficient. Like he's looking like the Derrick Henry that came back last year after the
Yeah.
foot injury and everything. It looks like he hasn't gotten any better. He hasn't progressed at all yet.
And it doesn't help that Ryan Tannehill fucking sucks. Doesn't help that Taylor Lewan went down this game, that their offensive line is getting worse, that they don't have any weapons outside of Traylon Burks. It's looking bad for all four of these guys, man. It's going to be hard to sell them because I don't know who's going to want to buy. I think you just got to hold for the most part.
Yeah, you got to hold the line and just hope for the best. Hope that situations get better. Hell, some situations maybe even hope some coaching changes happen because I don't know about you, man, and your position on the Vikings, but I have not really liked what I've seen. I know week 1 was cool to see because, Justin Jefferson's super involved but it's looking like that's all they've really hammered home to this team. They don't really seem like they have an identity except try to get the ball to Justin Jefferson as an offense. At least not from what I've seen.
It's fair. I don't think that that's like crazy to say. I still hold out hope for Kevin O'Connell and for that offense. I think week 1, obviously they looked a lot better, and I think week 2, that's just Kirk in primetime, man. You can't expect anything better than that.
That is true. It is Monday Night Kirk. I love how he just
and
had to even his record back out again. He's like,
yeah.
oh, it's 62, 1 and 2? Nah, 62, 62 and 2. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I don't know. Game script on Monday night was just not in favor of running the ball. I'm not of those four guys, of Eckler, Najee, Henry, Dalvin. I'll ask you this as well, but who are you still most confident in? Because for me, it's actually Dalvin.
For me, it's Dalvin and Eckler. Najee and Derrick Henry are the two I'm the most worried about for sure.
Yeah.
But Eckler, I think at some point, the team may end up having to lean on him a little bit more, especially now that Justin Herbert's going to be playing a little bit hampered. They may have to lean on their running game a little bit more. But yeah, Dalvin's the one I have the most hope for to bounce back because I just don't understand why he's not as involved in the passing game as he probably should be. Like he had 3 catches off of 5 targets last week, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was 6 targets, 4 catches.
Okay.
He was fairly involved. He just wasn't efficient with them, which was surprising to see.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, DeAndre Swift, though. DeAndre Swift doing amazing out of the top running backs.
Right, he got he had the ankle injury, and so he was limited coming into last week. I think he got, correct me if I'm wrong, like 7 opportunities and turned that into an RB1 finish.
Yep.
That was nuts.
DeAndre Swift is different. He's very
so
different.
Good.
And we knew it in college. Everyone was just like, oh, he's injury prone, this and that. Like, okay. but he's still good, and he's
Yeah.
proven that he's really good. So
Yeah.
I guess going from the more depressing side of fantasy, for those of you who drafted a wide receiver in the first round, or even just
Stonks up,
prioritize
baby.
wide receivers, yeah, stonks are up. Zero RB is looking amazing right now.
So far this year, zero RB drafters are laughing in everybody else's face. It's definitely been a good year for them so far. Obviously, we talked about Diggs with the explosion week. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God,
The
is fucking going off.
animal, the sun
Uh,
god.
Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill out there in Miami balling. Incoming Tua take.
Fuck Tua.
just what,
Nah,
yeah, I
bro.
just wanted to see what you would say.
Nah, bro. Like, I'm glad Jalen Waddle's doing good. I'm glad Tyreek's doing good. Fuck Tua. How do you throw for 469 yards, right? Which sounds like a great number. That sounds like an amazing number.
It is a great number.
Until you look and see that it was 9.4 yards per throw. 9.4. So Tua's not doing this shit. Obviously, these guys are catching the ball. They're making something happen, which is exactly what we said in the preseason. That's what they're going to have to do if they're going to be successful in this offense. And you got the two best guys in the league pretty much that can do that. You got Jalen Waddle. He finished, 11 catches, 171 yards, and a touchdown?
Ridiculous. He had
Or two
19
touchdowns?
targets.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I think he had a 38 or 40% target share, something absolutely insane. And Tyreek Hill, I think he had a 26% target share. Didn't matter. Got 11 catches, also went the fuck off. But that's not because of Tua. I'm sorry. I had a moment of weakness. Eric will tell you, I had a moment of
me
weakness.
earlier this week.
Yeah.
You're like, am I wrong about Tua? I was like, nah, bro. Fuck him.
All right, bet. Yeah, because Tua's just not.
Yeah.
He's not it still. Like, if they had someone, imagine what this team would be if they had someone better than Tua.
I was gonna say, so that's the thing. You know who is it? Mike McDaniel, dude.
Yeah.
He's the truth. He's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like totally shit on Tua because somebody has to throw these guys the ball. But I completely agree. This is manufactured and it would look a lot better under somebody else. But still talking about wide receivers. Mike Williams also blew up on Thursday night. Cooper Kupp doing Cooper Kupp things once again, getting in the end zone twice, stealing one from Allen Robinson after a weird injury timeout. I don't know if you saw that in the game or not, but yeah, wide receivers are absolutely dominating. Allen Robinson scored the first touchdown.
Right.
He got in the end zone, had a decent week. They lined up. I think he lined up in the backfield or he was in motion or something. They snapped the ball. Ball goes out to him. He's wide open, catches another touchdown. We're thinking, blow up week for Allen Robinson. He's back on the map. And then a bunch of whistles blow, and they call the play dead and redo the down because one of the medical spotters up in the booth said that somebody looked like they had concussion symptoms. It was wild. They said that they blew the whistle before the play started, but it looked like everybody played the play. Like nobody hesitated. It was really strange.
No, fuck that, bro. Like, no, I understand safety first and all that, but at the same time, no, fuck that. If I'm any team, I'm telling my medical guy, yeah. You see any weird shit, bro, and somebody scores, yeah. Say somebody had a concussion, bro. Stop that shit. Yeah.
They came back on the next play and Cooper Kupp scored, so it didn't matter for the game, but for fantasy, it made a big difference.
Nah, that's actually infuriating. I had no idea that happened. That's ass. And also, I know we don't have him on the sheet, but I do want to talk about him for just a second.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk.
Bruh.
Christian Kirk.
So good.
We were telling y'all, if Christian Kirk is available in the 9th, 10th round, whatever the fuck he was going at, which was way too fucking late, pick him up.
His ass.
Pick him up because he is going off. Like, it's just, he had half the targets he had last week.
Is he top 5 receiver in fantasy right now?
I think so. If he's not top 5, he's 100% top 10.
Crazy, bro. Crazy. Yeah, he's had 2 blow-up weeks. He's getting so many targets. He's getting peppered with targets. It's really, really encouraging to see. One of the steals of the draft, if you were able to get him anywhere in that 8 to 10 round range. Which, yeah, we were pounding the table for, so I'm pretty happy with that take from us.
Yeah, Christian Kirk right now, wide receiver 7 in fantasy.
Ooh.
Wide receiver 7.
Love to see it. Also, more wide receiver news. These rookies are blowing up, dude.
Yeah.
Drake London had what, like a 48% target share this game? That was insane.
Yeah, we don't need to throw the ball to Kyle Pitts. Just keep throwing it to Drake London. You know? Like, it's insane to see it, and I'm happy for Drake London because he's doing extremely
Same.
well. But that's fucking ridiculous to have a receiver on your team with 48%. I'd understand it if Kyle Pitts had the other 52. That'd be fine. but, but he doesn't. And it's so...
Fuck Olamide Zaccheaus.
Yeah.
Fuck all these other motherfuckers. Throw the ball
Everybody.
to Kyle Pitts and Drake London.
That's it.
They got the Drake London part right, which I'm happy about. That's great for him. I had high hopes for him. He's looking fantastic. He's far exceeding my expectations. But man, throw the fucking ball to Kyle Pitts. What are we doing?
No, it's just, we game planned and that's our, we just got to follow the game plan.
We're not playing fantasy. We're out here trying to win games. And how about you throw the ball to the guy you drafted with the 4th overall pick, you dumbass? What are we... I'm so mad.
Literally.
I'm so mad.
He's a top... He's one of the best players in the league. And you're saying you're not giving him the ball because you want to win?
You think you're going to have a worse chance giving the ball to one of the most talented players in the NFL? Like,
That was when I saw that tweet, that was the first time I really wanted to like at an NFL team and be like, fuck you guys. It was the first time ever. Because it's like, dog, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I saw a stat on Twitter saying that like, I'm going to forget, Travis Kelce, I don't know if it was Mark Andrews. It might have been. Like Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews so far this year haven't had a single snap where they've been asked to pass block. Kyle Pitts is pass blocking on like 15% of his snaps. He's a wide receiver in a tight end's body. Why are you asking him to pass block, bro? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Arthur Smith, what are you doing?
This is the game where I was like, yeah, Arthur Smith's got to go. He's not it. Get him out of there. Yeah. Give me anybody. Give me somebody who just plays Madden a lot, who knows Kyle Pitts is good, and I guarantee you this team might do a little bit better.
I mean, to be entirely fair, as mad as I am at him for the Kyle Pitts usage, they did kind of come back. They were down by a ton, and so maybe the Rams just let off the gas, but they made this game pretty close.
Yeah, but if you're still losing and you're not using your best assets, it's like, yeah, maybe you could have won if you used Kyle Pitts. You ever think about that? But hey. But yeah, just more about the rookies. Garrett Wilson popped the hell off this week as well.
Should have had 3 touchdowns. Joe Flacco missed him on another one.
Yeah, and then Jahan Dotson leading every Commanders receiver in terms of snaps and just on-field usage. Sure, he's not leading in I think targets or receptions yet.
Curtis Samuel actually is. Terry McLaurin is last out of the 3. They're all doing well. They're all startable. But yeah, Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson leading the way.
They have been sharing the wealth, but Jahan Dotson has not been leaving the field, and that's great. It's amazing actually to see. Then Chris Olave took a step up this week as well. I believe he got more targets. And then Treylon Burks on limited snaps has been doing decently well. Another person we talked about in the preseason that, all these reports, he's practicing with the 3rd team, 2nd team. He's not going to be good. He's in the doghouse. No.
Yeah, Treylon Burks is actually Treylon Burks and Chris Olave both are guys that I want to talk about. We're going to get to some buy lows, sell highs here in a second, or at least we'll briefly mention them. But Olave and Burks are on my buy low list for sure. Neither of them had amazing fantasy weeks, but the underlying usage and metrics that they had in these weeks looked so good. I have Treylon Burks in front of me. So of players with at least 30 routes run, Burks leads the NFL in targets per routes run. Like, I think when he's actually on the field, he's being targeted on like 38% of his routes, which is nuts.
Jeez.
It's just that he's on the field for like so few snaps. I guess maybe some of it has to do with just like the way that this offseason played out. I don't know if they trust him, or maybe he's still trying to keep his asthma in check. I have no idea. I have no idea what the deal is and why they're not playing him more. But I want to say he only had 17 snaps in this game, and he still had 6 targets, I believe. So he's definitely a buy for me. If the snaps go up, he could be shooting off to the moon. And Chris Olave had, let me make sure you hear this, 365 air yards. 365 air yards. Okay? Now, Jameis was just doing the fuck it, Olave's down there somewhere type deal, and kept missing him. Okay, but he was getting open on deep balls, and he was targeted on basically every deep route that he had. If one of those connects, it's a huge week. He had like 5 of those opportunities. They just didn't happen to work out. I think he's got huge boom weeks coming in his future.
Yeah, because even with dropping those, he still finished with 5 catches and what 80 yards. It's still he's gonna be the guy in this offense, and it's just I love the young wide receivers. I feel like it's always the same pipeline every year. It's like you get this young receiver, and the first couple weeks they're okay, but they show signs of promise, and then by like week 8 they're just taking off. And I feel like if you don't get in on Chris Olave and Traylon Burks, you probably already missed out on Drake London and Garrett Wilson. Those people are not going to give them up. But those two, if you miss out on them now, this may be your last opportunity to really get them and secure them for your team. So I'm not saying sell the farm for them, but like buy low, like Eric said.
Yeah. All right, and then to wrap things up, we got buy low, sell highs, or I guess we could also call it panic patience, whatever you want to do. We'll touch on some names. I'll throw them to you. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll also provide you with like some trade options. We'll see what you say. So first one, Kyle Pitts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First 2 weeks have looked pretty terrible. You likely had to draft him in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, something like that. Tight end landscape does not look good. But you got guys like Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett, who have looked really good so far, but they just happen to be waiver wire pickups. At what point do those guys kind of jump Pitts for you? Like, if you're the Pitts owner and you mm-hmm. have Kyle Pitts, but you also have Tyler Higbee, who are you starting this week?
Who am I starting? I'm starting Tyler Higbee. Unfortunately. Okay.
And I don't think that's a bad take.
But does that mean I'm giving up on Kyle Pitts? No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. So you're starting Higbee. Maybe you're starting Everett over Pitts this week. But if somebody had Everett or Higbee and they were like, hey, I'll trade you for Kyle Pitts.
Fuck no. You're smoking dick. Because it's at a certain 100%. Point, Kyle Pitts, you have to... Right now, the thing that we are missing the most from him is them literally using him. They haven't used him. I don't know what the issue is, but I feel like if that trend continues and this team also keeps losing, there's going to be some pretty big shakeups with this team and just how everyone gets used. So, or there could be some coaching and some staff changes. Who knows? But Kyle Pitts is too talented of a player for me to give up on him week 3,
Yeah, 100% agree. We'll move on to Dalvin Cook, who we mentioned earlier. Well, I guess week 1 wasn't awful. It was just a little bit disappointing. Last week was pretty bad. Let's say you got a guy like Jeff Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you starting in week 3, Jeff Wilson or Dalvin Cook?
Who do the Vikings play week 3?
Vikings play the Detroit Lions. That matchup is fucking
see, so that's where the issue comes, because anytime Dalvin Cook plays the Lions, he pops off. Anytime I'm like, oh, you shouldn't start. I didn't start Rashad Penny last year in the championship against the Lions, and he popped off. It's one of those teams that you can run the ball against. It might be a hot take. I'm gonna be stubborn and still start Dalvin Cook.
Yeah,
because anytime
it's not a hot take.
I feel like some people might say it is. At least the best way I can describe it, for us, people who know fantasy, it's not a hot take, But for anybody, your casual, your home leagues, this and that, they might be sitting Dalvin Cook this week because they're like, oh, he hasn't done shit these last 2 weeks. But
that's why I ask you the question. We're trying to help these people out.
Yeah.
The same people you're talking about, hopefully they listen to us and realize the error of their ways.
That's true.
Watch him put up like 2 points again. I'm gonna be so
fuck. I'll be disgusted if he puts up 2 points against the Lions. I might cut him. He might go to waivers.
Okay, so I think that was pretty definitive. Dalvin Cook, we're definitely still believing in. If anybody is panic selling him, I would try to acquire him on the low. But for the most part, that's a hold, and we'll see what happens the rest of the season. Derrick Henry, on the other hand, let's do the same comparison. Derrick Henry this week or Jeff Wilson?
Jeff Wilson. I just haven't liked the
I
look of
agree.
Derrick Henry at all this season. It's looking like
Yeah.
he's going to be touchdown dependent because anything else hasn't been working for him so far. And it's sad to say, but yeah, he's not someone I'm super happy about. He's Derrick Henry and Najee Harris have officially become the same player for me, at least until Malik Willis plays. You know, when Malik Willis starts,
Yeah.
I'll see this team turn around a little bit. But right now,
We'll see. Okay. Here's your trade question.
okay.
You have Derrick Henry. The Javonte Williams owner comes to you and says, "I'll give you Javonte for Derrick Henry." Are you taking that?
Damn. Yeah, I
Because
think I am, honestly. At this point in the season, I think I might actually take that trade. Because it's not
I
like I'm
think I
losing
probably
out on a
would
lot
too.
of value in taking Javante Williams, and nobody knows what Derrick Henry's doing. I could eat my words in 4 weeks, but, it's as of right now, it's not looking like Derrick Henry's the player to have right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you there as well. We mentioned Olave and Burks guys to buy. Now we'll go on to potential sell highs. We'll see. Aaron Jones. He had a little bit of a down week one. It was okay. Not very much usage, limited opportunities. They come in against the Bears, absolutely dominate, give him 15 rushes. I think he puts up like 132 yards in the ground, 38 yards through the air, and another touchdown. Pops off for like 30 points. Now, I feel like this is typical Aaron Jones. He'll have his massive blow up weeks, and then he'll kind of disappear or just be mediocre for a few weeks in between before the next blow up. Do you see that as the case here again? Do you think this is going to be consistent? How are we feeling on Aaron Jones?
It's hard for me to think that that's going to be consistent just because it is a performance against the Bears of all the teams
Yeah.
in the world. It's not like this happened against, like, if this had happened against the Bills or the Rams, I'd be like, yeah, it's Aaron Jones' season. This is how they're using them. This is how they're rolling forward. But it was a game that they should have won from the start, and just by following the game plan that they did. I don't think every week is going to be a boom week for Aaron Jones. I think it's going to swap a lot between him and AJ Dillon as to who the guy is for that game. It kind of depends on game script or just how each player is performing that night. One player might be having a better night, so they're just going to go with AJ Dillon or they're going to go with Aaron Jones. Do I think this is a sell high? That's actually an interesting question. I would still want Aaron Jones on my team. I wouldn't want to get rid of him because I don't think it's like he's going to drop off a cliff going for the rest of the season. So I wouldn't get rid of him. But it's like I kind of said earlier with Dalvin. If someone's willing to offer you something very good for that, or even just a player you really, really want for Aaron Jones, and they still provide a more consistent level of production, I would seriously consider it. I would seriously consider it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I totally agree. I think this is going to be pretty game script dependent for Aaron Jones. They were clearly the better team against the Bears. They got up early and stayed up, and they were able to run the ball consistently. I think if that's the case, Aaron Jones and maybe also AJ Dillon can eat. If they get down, hopefully Aaron Jones gets more involvement in the passing game that he's had through the first 2 weeks. But I don't know. It might just be a rough look for both of those guys. The As far as my advice on whether to sell high, with the running back landscape looking the way that it does, I don't know that I would want to trade him for another running back unless it's like cream of the crop, like Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, or something like that. But there's no way you're going to get that type of deal done.
Right.
At least I don't think you can. If you can,
If you
go for it.
can, you're the best GM in the world.
But I think if there's somebody in your league that went running back heavy or prefers to have really good running backs and they're having a disappointing season from that position and they're just desperate for an RB, if they want to trade you like an Amon-Ra St. Brown for Aaron Jones. Also, I don't know that that's going to be easy to pull off either. I doubt it. But if somebody's willing to do that type of shit where you can get like a top tier receiver who I think is probably going to be more consistent for you, I would do that shit in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that, especially if it's one of those elite options. Because those
Yeah.
elite wide receiver options have been crazy going throughout the season so far. And it's like, if it's seeming like it's going to be one of those years where it's like you need that top wide receiver option, or at least one of them if you want your team to be successful.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
And then
Yeah.
The last two on here, we got James Robinson and CEH. Um, yeah, we all know your opinions on CEH. Um, I still, for me, in my leagues, I don't know. I feel like CEH maybe you could sell high. He's had pretty good 2 weeks. I feel like J Rob people are still a little bit nervous about. I do want to touch on J Rob specifically because he's really like I don't know setting a new precedent for guys coming off Achilles. Also, Cam Akers had somewhat of a bounce back week. Maybe the Achilles isn't a death blow for running backs anymore. I'm not gonna stamp that yet, but I don't know. It's looking good. He's looking good. Cam Akers looked a little bit better this week. It's possible that this isn't a death knell for these guys.
Yeah, James Robinson, in terms of usage, he's been used as much as he's been used in the past for this team. He hasn't really taken a step back. He's still getting 25 touches a game, which is kind of crazy for somebody coming off an
It's
Achilles.
nuts.
Travis Etienne has been sort of, I'm not going to say he's been underperforming, but he has been kind of in a way. He's been dropping some open passes. It's just the team is still kind of, I guess, feeling him out to see where he's at. But James Robinson has proven he's still the guy in this offense, but he hasn't been super efficient either to go along with that as well. Like he's getting 25 plus touches a game, but he hasn't been the best with those touches.
He's been getting in the end zone. I
Right.
think that's been keeping him afloat for the most part.
Right. So it's not like
So
I'm
we'll see.
super duper jumping ship from James Robinson, but it's not something I'm super confident about going throughout the season in terms of like, is he going to be super effective throughout the season?
Yeah, I didn't really want to go super in depth on these guys. I don't
Yeah.
know what the market is like out there for them, but I think at least for me, James Robinson, because I think most of his production is probably coming from the touchdown area, not efficiency on the ground. Um, and CEH, the usage just seems weird. Like he's being super efficient on limited touches and also not being used in like high value territories. Like when they get in the red zone, McKinnon is on the field more often than CEH is. So I feel like both of these guys are kind of sell high candidates if anybody out there is buying.
Yeah, if somebody's buying CEH, I would get him off your team immediately. That was even before, all the success. After the success, I don't like CEH. I don't think, like Eric said, his usage doesn't match his output. He's just been super efficient. I don't see that carrying throughout the season. Like he's averaging 9 yards per carry right now. If we think that's really gonna carry out throughout the season, then CEH is just the best running back we've ever seen ever. And I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think that will wrap it up. Ended up being a little bit longer than we intended, but that's all right. If you stuck with us this long, we appreciate you. I hope you got something useful out of it. And yeah, so if you did get something useful, please hit the like button. That will help us out so much. Hit subscribe. You'll be able to see all of our upcoming videos, stuff like that. Like I said, we got a bunch of YouTube shorts coming for recaps of this week's games. We're going to be doing that going forward for all of the weeks down the road. So look out for those as well.
Yep. And, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, become a part of the community. Yeah, and check out the shorts if you want to see a weekly recap and just what we think more so about each of these games individually. So we'll go throughout more players than we did today, obviously, and just give you a little bit more insight. So, yeah, we'll see you guys over there in YouTube Shorts too, and then we'll be back later this week as well with another video.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.